Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take stacks of information, really dig in, pull out those crucial nuggets, and hopefully leave you feeling informed and maybe a little surprised.
That's the goal.
And today, we're setting out on a pretty fascinating journey, really trying to understand one individual, Stephen North. Our mission, if you will, is to piece together who is Stephen North. We want to illuminate the unique contours of his life, his purpose. All is revealed through this collection of channeled communications and personal insights we've got.
Exactly. It's quite a unique set of materials we have. It really offers this intimate window into Stephen's experiences. We see his spiritual connections, his perceived life purpose, and also the challenges he's navigating.
Right.
And these aren't just isolated moments. We have excerpts from talks, readings, spanning several years. So it paints this really rich, evolving picture of a very profound personal and spiritual journey.
Yeah, it feels like we're getting a real panoramic view, not just snapshots.
That's a good way to put it. A life lived very deliberately, it seems.
So whether you're just curious about individual spiritual paths or maybe the nature of channeled guidance itself, or maybe you're just wondering how someone actually navigates a life devoted to, higher consciousness, this deep dive should offer some surprising facts. And I think plenty of those aha moments too.
I think so. There's a lot here.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's really try and discover who Stephen North is, starting right at the foundation. Where does his path begin?
Well, right at the very heart of it, the absolute core of Stephen North's journey seems to be this profound, very consistent connection with one specific spirit guide.
Okay, one main guide.
Yes. And this guide identifies as his twin flame.
Twin flame. Okay, I've heard that term. For listeners maybe less familiar, what exactly does that mean in these spiritual contexts?
Right. So a twin flame is often understood as like two halves of a single soul. The idea is they're destined to find each other across different lifetimes, usually to accelerate some really profound spiritual growth and fulfill a shared purpose.
So not just soulmates, but something even more intertwined.
Exactly. It's considered exceptionally rare, apparently, and a very significant kind of bond, deeper than a soulmate connection, according to these sources.
That is fascinating. So this isn't just like a casual spiritual helper showing up.
No, not us.
This is a lifelong, profound relationship. It spans lifetimes, you're saying.
Yeah.
How does that fundamentally change the guidance Stephen receives? Compared to someone maybe meeting a guide for the first time in this life?
That's a great question. And the sources really suggest it's foundational, absolutely central.
Okay.
This guide's role apparently began even before Stephen's current incarnation.
Before he was born.
Yes. Actively assisting him in planning out his life purpose, figuring out the lessons he was meant to learn, the soul contracts he'd engage with. They literally helped create a life chart for him.
Wow. A life chart. Imagine having that kind of pre-life planning session.
Right. It means the guidance isn't just reactive, responding to things as they happen. It's intricately woven into the very fabric of his destiny, his pre-planned path.
So the benefit is huge alignment, I guess. But maybe the challenge is forgetting you signed up for all this.
That seems to be a recurring theme, yes. The human amnesia, as he sometimes calls it. But that detailed support is there from the start.
And it doesn't stop at the planning stage, right?
Yep.
The sources say this guide is with him daily.
Daily. Described as the closest guide next to the veil. Almost through the veil, one source says.
Wow. Okay, so incredibly close. And this connection allows them to be, aware of his emotional state, even without a physical body.
Yes, that's explicitly mentioned. They can feel his emotional state.
How does a non-physical being feel emotions? What's the mechanism there, according to the sources?
It seems to point towards a kind of profound energetic resonance. The guide actually says in one source, I am Amy North, spirit guide to Stephen North, who's incarnated, and we are also twin flames.
So she names herself Amy.
Yes. And she elaborates, saying they feel the things you go through and that the spirit guide is so connected that they are able to feel your emotional state of being.
Okay.
So it suggests this deep, energetic sensitivity. Like their consciousness is so interwoven with Stephen's that they register his emotional vibrations directly.
So for Stephen, that must mean he always has this immediate empathetic presence. Like a constant support system.
Exactly. A constant mirror, a support system. It's described as a remarkable level of non-physical intimacy.
It really does sound like a constant sort of energetic embrace. And what seems crucial here is that a core job for this guide, Amy, is to keep him aligned with those pre-incarnation plans, right?
Yes, that's a key function.
Using signs, nudges, dream work, meditation.
All of those. It's not about rigid control, though. More like a spiritual GPS, maybe?
Hmm.
Gently redirecting him back to his chosen path if he starts to veer off.
A spiritual GPS, I like that.
And it's important to note, this isn't a one-way street. It's not the guide just dictating things.
Ugh.
The sources emphasize it's a mutual kind of teamwork effort.
Teamwork, how so?
Well, apparently the guide, Amy, also has her own life lessons that mirror Stephen's. She's learning and growing alongside him.
Wow. So even spirit guides are still evolving.
Yeah.
That really changes the dynamic.
It really does. It underscores this reciprocal nature of the spiritual journey, even for beings on the non-physical side. Makes their guidance feel even more, I don't know, relatable somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this intimacy, this twin flame bond, is described as extraordinary. Nothing held back. Easier to merge and experience unconditional love. Stephen himself clearly feels this deeply.
Not very deeply.
He says, it's the most beautiful feeling. I truly love it. It's extraordinary, and it's felt like I've been searching for this beautiful connection for as long as I can remember. And he adds, yes, ours feels so beautiful that I do get emotional because it's so beautiful and so real.
Powerful words.
What's actually happening in that merging state that evokes such a powerful emotional response in him? Is it just feeling loved or something more?
That's a really potent question. And the guide, Amy, gives us a clue. She notes that love elevates and helps us to see what we could not before it reveals the shadows beneath the surface.
Ah, so it's revealing, not just comforting.
Seems so. The merging isn't just emotional comfort. It's described as an energetic alignment where their frequencies resonate deeply. This allows for a clearer perception of truth, of self, both the light and the shadows.
Okay.
And Amy describes the veil between their realms becoming so thin when they're connected. It feels almost as if we were in the same realm.
Like the separation dissolves momentarily.
Exactly. It suggests this state of unified consciousness where the usual barriers just fade, creating this experience of pure, unfiltered love and knowing. That deep intimacy, that's what Stephen feels he's been searching for.
And what really struck me as unique, comparing Amy to, say, an archangel, is her expressed interest in physical life.
Yes, that's quite distinct.
She wants to hang out in a more human way, experience sunsets, storms, even the imperfections alongside Stephen. Why this focus on the mundane from a spirit guide?
I think it speaks directly to that twin flame connection and the mutual growth aspect we mentioned.
Okay.
Unlike an archangel, who might operate from a much higher, maybe more detached vibrational place, Amy seems deeply invested in the human experience through Stephen.
Because their souls are linked.
Precisely. She explains that they are down in frequency or more well-matched to the physical world energetically to allow this level of connection.
So she adjusts her vibration to connect.
It seems so, to enable communication, to feel the emotions, learn the lessons right alongside him. It demonstrates this incredible level of empathy and engagement with his specific incarnated life.
It really shows how intertwined their journeys are. She gets to experience the richness of human life, even without a body, deepening her own understanding, too.
It's a really fascinating dynamic.
Now, this deep connection with Amy, his primary guide, doesn't mean Stephen's working alone, spiritually speaking.
Oh, definitely not.
You mentioned she heads up a larger team of guides, and he also interacts with archangels. Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Chamuel, Raphael, Metatron are named, and ascended masters like Serapis Bey, Saint Germain, Kuthumi.
That's right, a whole support crew.
Can you clarify the difference? Why involve all these different types of guides? What roles might archangels or ascended masters play compared to his twin flame, Amy?
Think of it like a highly specialized support team. Amy provides that deeply personal, intimate daily guidance, the one directly tied to his soul's blueprint, his life chart.
Okay, the close confidant.
Exactly. Then you have the archangels, like Michael is often associated with protection, Gabriel with communication. They typically offer broader energetic support, universal wisdom, maybe help with bigger life themes or clearing energy.
Or universal functions?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
And ascended masters like Saint Germain with the violet flame for transformation, or Kuthumi, often linked to wisdom and teaching. They provide guidance on specific spiritual practices, mastery, higher understanding.
So different specialists for different needs.
Precisely. While Amy is the core connection, this larger team offers this multifaceted layer of wisdom and energetic assistance. Each brings their unique expertise to his, well, quite complex path.
So with this whole spiritual support system humming along, How does Stephen actually get these messages? How does the information come through? Is it always direct thought or?
Hmm. Well, that brings us to the process of channeling. A lot of the guidance Stephen receives comes through a channeler.
Okay, so someone else is involved in relaying the messages.
Often, yes, but it's not like Stephen is just passively sitting there receiving a report.
Right. How does it work?
The process involves the channeler acting as a conduit, inviting the guide or entity in. But Stephen himself is described as being in a heightened state of awareness, too. He's on the other side, too, is how one source puts it.
On the other side, meaning?
It suggests a deep meditative state, maybe semi-trance, where his own energy field aligns or merges more fully with the channelers and the guides. This deep attunement helps create a clearer, stronger pathway for the guidance.
So it's a three-way connection almost.
You could see it that way. A sophisticated dance between realms, really. It requires trust, energetic alignment from everyone involved, Stephen, the channeler, and the guide.
And it's noted that the channeler themselves, the human facilitating, needs to be mindful. Mindful of their energy, their limitations.
Yes, that's a crucial point.
Guides who are channeled more often understand these nuances better, it says.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the person channeling and I guess for the purity of the information coming through?
It highlights the human element, doesn't it? A channeler's energy, their mental state, their physical well-being, even stress levels can act as a filter.
Right.
If their energy is scattered or they're tired, the connection might be less clear, less consistent. Experienced guides, especially those working frequently with one channeler, learn how to navigate that human instrument best. They understand its strengths, its limits.
So the guide adapts to the channeler.
To some extent, yes. And the channeler's mindfulness helps ensure the integrity, the clarity of the message, reduces potential distortion. It's a reminder for us, listening, that while the message might originate from a higher source, its delivery is still through a human vessel.
That makes sense. There's an example where a reading starts with calling in Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Chamuel. They create a circle of protection and wisdom.
Setting the energetic space.
And another mentions a Metatron reading. Stephen himself talks about feeling a being there, checking in, discerning different vibrations.
Yes, that shows his own growing sensitivity. He's not just relying on the channeler, he's actively perceiving these subtle energies himself, even during the sessions. It reinforces how dynamic and engaged his spiritual interactions are.
Okay, so given this incredible foundation of connections, this team, this deep bond, it may be not surprising that Stephen North manifests some unique spiritual abilities himself.
Right. He translates these insights into practical work.
Let's explore those, starting with crystals. This seems like a significant area for him.
It does.
He apparently has this ability to program and set crystals with intent. And he's encouraged to understand they can hold vast amounts of information. What does it even mean to program a crystal? And how can it hold vast amounts of information? Is it like a spiritual USB drive?
That's a good analogy, actually. A spiritual hard drive, maybe, but perhaps even more dynamic.
Okay.
Programming means imbuing the crystal with a specific intention, an energetic blueprint, a desired outcome. But Stephen's ability seems to go beyond just simple intent. He can literally layer and layer the information into the crystal, so it's all there for the person who receives it.
Layering information.
Yes, and often it says he doesn't consciously register all the information himself as he's doing it.
So it's coming through him, not from his conscious mind.
It suggests a subconscious or higher self-driven process of encoding, tapping into the crystal's natural capacity to store and transmit energy information. They're not just pretty rocks. They become these living, vibrating repositories of data and intention.
That's incredible. I mean, I've heard crystals are powerful, but this layering, wow. The sources say these programmed crystals can be really effective tools, even taking people into other dimensions, revealing past lives.
Yeah, pretty profound claims.
Acting as a communication aid, like a phone, to hear your spirit guide better.
And we have some validation for that in the sources. Stephen is told directly in one chat, when you are preparing them, I know that you know how to program and set them with intent. There's more to it than, the crystals can hold vast amount of information.
Okay, confirmation from the guide.
And really critically, a channeler shares a personal experience with a crystal from Stephen. She says, "It took me into other dimensions. Then I saw my guide and he took me into my past."
Whoa, so first-hand experience of dimensional travel via crystal.
That's what's described. A deeply immersive visionary experience, maybe like an out-of-body journey or a really vivid meditation, where the crystal acts as a key, a focal point to unlock those states.
And the phone analogy.
That implies, it just clarifies the energetic signal from the guide. Makes it easier to perceive their messages, like getting better reception on your phone.
Okay, crystals. That's one major area. But then there's music. He's also inspired to create transformative music.
Yes, another key modality for him.
And the core purpose here is spreading unconditional love. The music should directly communicate to the soul of the person, bypass anything underneath.
Right.
What is it bypassing? The mind, the ego.
That seems to be the idea. Anything underneath likely refers to exactly that. Mental filters, ego constructs, maybe old beliefs, emotional defenses, all the stuff that usually blocks direct spiritual input.
Right.
Music, being vibrational, can resonate directly with the energetic body, sort of going around the analytical mind.
Okay, bypassing the mental chatter.
Exactly. And these tracks are specifically designed to open the heart chakra and the crown chakra.
Heart and crown. Why those specifically?
Opening the heart allows for the experience of unconditional love, releasing energetic walls. Opening the crown allows for a clearer connection with guides, with higher consciousness. The process is explicitly called heart activation.
Heart activation, I like that. Creating a direct, unfiltered channel for love's frequency.
That's the intention described.
And it sounds like this music isn't just, nice background tunes. It has a specific energetic job to do.
Very specific.
His guide mentions sending coded vibrations into the sounds he creates. Messages to help people come towards the light of consciousness, become curious about their true nature. What are coded vibrations? Is that like subliminal messages or something more energetic?
It's described as more energetic, not audible words hidden in the mix, but specific energy frequencies and patterns embedded within the sound itself.
Like a vibrational language.
Sort of, yeah.
Sorry.
Subtle energetic signatures that carry information. Think of it like a frequency the soul recognizes, even if the mind doesn't. When someone listens, these codes resonate with their own energy field, potentially activating dormant awareness, releasing blockages, nudging them gently towards higher consciousness. It's nonverbal, speaking directly soul to soul, sparking that curiosity about who they really are.
And the goal isn't small here. The purpose is engaging life purpose, true love, compassion, walking a higher path, ultimately raising the vibration of the whole planet.
It's definitely aiming high.
His guide says, this is what you can teach them through your music. I am going to inspire you to create a special track for this, the surrender to unconditional love. The track should have the effect of opening the heart chakra and the crown so there can be connection.
It shows how deliberate this creative process is, aimed at global shift through individual heart opening.
Yeah. So crystals, music, underlying both seems to be this ability to let spirit flow through him.
Yes, that seems foundational to all his work.
He's described as having a wonderful talent of stepping aside and letting spirit flow through. And this isn't just for channeling sessions, it's the force that you use in the work that you do when you create, when you do anything, whenever you're speaking in a spiritual manner.
It's the engine behind it all.
How does he cultivate that? How do you learn to just step aside and let that energy flow, especially consistently?
Well, the sources point to the key being learning to quiet the mind and to allow spirit to lead.
Easier said than done, right?
Absolutely. But the practice of it is said to bring harmony, a willingness to life. And as his awareness heightens through this practice, he gets better at picking up information from guides more clearly, experiencing these feelings of knowing.
Feelings of knowing.
Yeah.
Like intuition, gut feelings.
Perhaps a deeper version of that, a clear, intuitive recognition that the information is coming from spirit, not just his own thoughts. The sources don't detail specific techniques like meditate exactly this way, but they emphasize the ongoing practice of discernment.
So consistent effort in quieting the mind, listening inwards, learning to trust that subtle knowing over the louder mental analysis.
Exactly. It's a gradual surrender to a higher wisdom. His guide constantly reinforces this, encouraging him to trust it.
And Stephen himself admits it's tough sometimes. He talks about the amnesia business, that frustration of forgetting spiritual truths when you're stuck in a physical body.
Yeah, that's very relatable.
He says he works hard at remembering. His guide encourages him, saying something like, had to keep telling my mind to get out of the way. I sent in information and you relayed it. That's how it works. Simple. It's what we must do together.
It highlights his active role, doesn't it? He's not just a passive receiver. He has to consciously manage his own mind to allow the flow.
And the guide affirms you have the wonderful talent of stepping aside. But that amnesia business, how does it manifest for someone like him living such a guided life? What are the implications?
It's incredibly humanizing, isn't it? For Stephen, it likely manifests as moments of doubt, maybe confusion, or just temporarily forgetting the sheer vastness of his own origins and those pre-life plans.
Even with Amy right there.
Even then, the human experience itself, the density, the distractions, it creates a veil. So the implication is, even for someone deeply connected like Stephen, maintaining that high vibrational awareness, consistently remembering his purpose, requires conscious, ongoing effort.
It really underscores that universal challenge of integrating spiritual truth into physical reality, and why those daily nudges from his guide are so important.
It's a constant practice of remembering his true nature, his cosmic heritage amidst the everyday.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit to his overarching purpose. It's clear he's seen as a light worker, a teacher, playing a role in this collective shift.
Yes, that's a major theme.
He's identified as an old soul and a light worker. His purpose, to help the masses awaken, to teach others, especially those just starting their spiritual journey.
A critical role right now.
What does being an old soul or light worker mean in this context? And what are the challenges of teaching people who are, just beginning to awaken? That sounds tricky.
An old soul generally implies a soul with many lifetimes behind it, lots of accumulated wisdom, maybe an innate grasp of spiritual concepts. A light worker is someone who's consciously chosen to dedicate their life here to spreading light, love, healing, helping humanity evolve.
Okay.
The challenge with teaching those just awakening, well, they're often dealing with deeply ingrained conditioning, maybe fear. They might be questioning everything they thought they knew, feeling lost or alone. They might struggle with concepts that seem second nature to Stephen.
So his job is to bridge that gap, gently.
Exactly. Offer accessible pathways without overwhelming them. Meet them where they are.
And a really crucial part of his teaching style, mentioned in the sources, is showing that there's not one way.
Yes.
Not one way to connect with guides, not one way to find happiness. This gives students freedom, right? To find what resonates for them, not just follow dogma.
Huge freedom. It avoids rigidity. Instead of saying, you must meditate this specific way, he might encourage exploring different things.
Like what?
Maybe journaling works for one person, maybe dancing. Maybe time in nature is how someone else connects. The point is finding your unique way to quiet the mind, open the heart.
So he normalizes diverse approaches.
Exactly. It empowers students to trust their own inner guidance, discover what truly works for them, foster self-reliance, not dependence.
That feels vital. And it says spiritual teachers, like any teacher, need to constantly adjust their styles, see what helps a student thrive, and know that what and how they teach will always be evolving.
Continuous learning, adaptability, it's not static.
His role involves normalizing spiritual awareness, helping people live with the light, understand their eternal souls with guides, making it practical, accessible.
Leading by example, making the esoteric every day.
And readiness to teach isn't just about knowing stuff.
Yeah.
It's about when he can hold compassion for his audience, when he has patience, and that clear sense of knowing. Embodied spirituality.
Yes, his guide is very clear. You are ready to teach when you can hold compassion, when you have embodied spirituality. It's about being the wisdom, not just talking about it.
Okay, connecting this purpose to the bigger picture. He's described as part of a planetary revolution, a grand design, a collective shift of consciousness.
Monumental terms, yeah.
This shift is bringing higher frequencies, raised consciousness to the planet.
Yeah.
What does a collective shift of consciousness actually entail? And what evidence or feelings of this are mentioned?
It's one of the most profound parts of his mission. It's not just a few individuals getting enlightened. It's presented as a fundamental recalibration of humanity's collective awareness.
From to what?
Moving from, say, a fear-based, separation, scarcity mindset towards one rooted in love, unity, abundance, connection. The sources describe it as an energetic upgrade for the whole planet and everyone on it.
And the evidence? Is it tangible?
Not always in a purely physical sense, no. It's often felt, like an accelerating pace of change, maybe a growing dissatisfaction with old, broken systems, and definitely this increasing hunger for spiritual truth and connection you see worldwide. Stephen is one of many contributing to this energetic upliftment.
And here's where it gets really mind-bending. He's physically reclaiming, reenacting, reinvigorating the original planet that still exists.
Right, that concept.
The original Earth was about potential and creation. And the planet's minerals, untouched by augmented reality, are a key to remembering this original form. This sounds deeper than just teaching.
It is. It's about energetics, reality structures.
Can you unpack that? What's this original planet versus our current experience? And how does Stephen's work help bridge that?
Okay, so the original planet seems to refer to Earth's pristine energetic blueprint, its multidimensional potential, unmarred by lower vibrations or collective human distortions and traumas.
Yeah, and the augmented reality.
That seems to be our current consensus reality. The denser, often limiting, sometimes fear-based projection that we perceive, which has overlaid that original blueprint.
Like a filter we see through.
Kind of. And Stephen's work, especially his deep energetic connection to the Earth's core, helps to literally reset and restore not just his own body, but contributing to reactivating that original Earth frequency for everyone. He acts as a living conduit, making that higher reality more accessible.
Wow. And the fifth dimensional reality is the bridge between our augmented reality and the original.
Yes, 5D is described as the bridge, and Stephen, being deeply anchored back into that original Earth energy, experiences this reset and restoration in his own physical form. He's embodying the shift.
Physically embodying it. And how does the planet's core, being the cosmic gateway to the all, connect to him personally?
It's described as an intrinsic link. The core of the planet, this cosmic gateway singing the song of the universe, is directly linked to the core of his own cells, his mind, his heart.
So macrocosm and microcosm reflecting each other.
Exactly. It creates this powerful resonance. His inner being is directly mirroring and influencing and being influenced by this universal gateway at the planet's heart, making him a potent instrument in the shift.
And the year 2025 is highlighted for unity, heeding the call within, making the light more physical.
Yes, a significant time marker mentioned for conscious presence and unity. It points towards this shift becoming more tangible, more consciously available for more people.
So it's very active, very tangible manifestation.
That's the implication.
Running through all of this is unconditional love and compassion. His work brings a new level of awareness into the multi-dimensions that love can be. Moving beyond love just tied to material things or ego.
Right, expanding the definition of love.
This new love is crucial for the new paradigm. What does it look like in practice? And why is it so vital for this planetary shift?
This new love isn't conditional. It doesn't depend on external circumstances or ego needs. It's described as an expansive, all-encompassing force. His music, his teachings aim to activate the heart, as we discussed, lowering those energetic walls, letting people experience unconditional love, first maybe with their guides, then more broadly. That heart activation is core.
And his readiness to teach tied to compassion.
Exactly. His guide says, your job is to share the love and help people obtain that level of love that the planet needs. It is more in line with the new paradigm of energies, not the old. And that love elevates, reveals the shadows. It's transformational, not transactional, clearing the path for this new energy.
Okay, so his path is incredibly purposeful, but it's not without challenges, right? He's still human.
Absolutely. Personal growth is key.
One area is balancing the spiritual and the mundane. He's encouraged to embrace the human experience, allow for ordinary activities.
Yes, finding balance is crucial.
The source says, many incarnated beings who are of a higher vibration have a hard time with that because once you peek through the door and you remember who you are, the physical world comes up short. Why is it so hard for higher vibration folks to embrace the mundane? And what happens if they don't?
It's a common struggle, apparently. When you connect deeply with those higher realms, the everyday world can feel flat, dull, maybe insignificant by comparison.
Yeah.
There's a yearning for that spiritual depth.
Right.
But the sources are clear. Not indulging in the physical, the mundane, even simple things like watching TV or enjoying a meal could lead to regret later from the soul's perspective.
Regret. Why?
Because the soul chose this human experience for a reason. His guide even playfully suggests asking mundane questions like, what should you eat tonight? What can we watch on Netflix?
Really grounding it.
Totally. It normalizes being human. The advice is teach people that it is okay to be human and mundane. They are here incarnated for a purpose, and they must embrace that purpose or this human experience, finding the sacred in the ordinary, not just escaping it.
That's powerful. Another area is health, healing, self-care. His health issues since 2020 are framed not just personally, but as part of a collective experience.
Yes, reflecting something larger.
Designed to slow you all down so that you can recreate your path. How can personal health reflect a collective thing? And what's this recreation of path?
It taps into that idea of interconnectedness again. As the collective consciousness shifts upwards, our physical bodies, maybe accustomed to lower vibrations, might struggle or show symptoms as they adjust, as they retool for higher frequencies.
So his challenges mirror a planetary adjustment.
That's the perspective offered. This slowing down, whether through health or other means, is meant to force a pause, to lead to a retooling of your abilities, desires, goals, and outcomes. A shift from old ways to new possibilities opening up. A collective reset button, almost.
And within that, he gets strong advice about unapologetic rest.
Very strong advice.
Physically, mentally, carving out time, stopping self-judgment about resting. Why unapologetic, especially for someone so driven by purpose? What are the unique demands on his energy?
It's crucial. Unapologetic means ditching the guilt, the shoulds that our productivity-obsessed culture often imposes around rest. And the unique demand. The sources reveal something quite extraordinary. Stephen, on a soul level, volunteers to help heal the collective while he sleeps.
Heal the collective in his sleep.
Yes. It's described as profound spiritual service that naturally requires more physical rest to compensate without draining his actual physical body during the day.
Wow. Okay, that explains the emphasis on rest.
Exactly. And that specific detail was meant just for his understanding, to preserve its energy, not for wide sharing. But it shows the immense energetic demands on him, even unconsciously, making deep rest non-negotiable for his well-being and his work.
Incredible dedication. Okay, lastly, relationships and personal wholeness.
Important insights there, too.
For people seeking romance, the advice is start with loving yourself and feeling that love in your own heart. Seeking love from emptiness attracts emptiness.
A common spiritual principle, yeah. Start within.
It emphasizes our external relationships mirror our internal state. And while we have mirror souls, soulmates, soul tribes.
Yes, those connections are acknowledged.
Many connections, friendships, romances have a temporary nature, often planned by the soul for specific growth lessons.
That's a big one. Shifting perspective.
Lifelong connections are possible, but not the only measure of success or fulfillment. That feels liberating somehow.
It really does. It moves away from that pressure that every significant relationship must last forever to have been valuable.
He's encouraged to practice grace when connections shift or end, understanding people grow apart.
Acceptance, not bitterness.
And patience is defined as acceptance of the present moment, tuning out impulsive demands. That applies to desires, other people. The source says clearly, for individuals seeking someone, you must start with loving yourself. And that the temporary nature to a great many connections, it would be a little limiting to expect only lifelong friends.
It frees us from expectation, allows us to appreciate the full spectrum of human connection, long or short term.
So pulling all this together, what does it tell us about who is Stephen North? We've seen the channeled connections, the twin flame bond, the unique gifts with crystals, music, the teaching role in a global shift, the personal challenges, the self-care.
It paints a picture of a life deeply interwoven with spirit, doesn't it? All these threads, the guidance, the abilities, the purpose, the growth they weave together into this coherent, incredibly purposeful path.
Yeah, it feels very intentional, like intricate planning went into this specific life.
Exactly, guided by insights from beyond the physical. It's really a testament to how detailed an incarnation can be planned. His journey isn't just his story, it feels like a blueprint for a certain way of living and serving.
And here's where it gets really interesting for everyone listening. Stephen's journey, while unique, reflects these universal themes we all grapple with: growth, purpose, connection. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this intricate design and guidance exists for him, what unseen forces, what plans might be subtly at play in your own life, guiding you?
It definitely invites that introspection. What's shaping my path?
Yeah. So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this. How might you start listening more deeply for that cosmic gateway within your own being?
Recognizing your own connection.
Right. Recognizing that maybe your connection to the universe, to your purpose, is far more profound, far more accessible than you currently think. This deep dive, maybe it encourages us to see any disconnection we feel. Not as a fundamental break, but maybe just a disconnection from that augmented reality we talked about.
Rather than a disconnection from your true original potential.
Exactly. The power to reclaim that authentic self, just like Stephen is striving to, perhaps it lies right there within you, waiting to be rediscovered.